competition regulator find it has, the telecoms regulator find it doesn't have. Okay. Which one do you think is more likely? I think perhaps the telecoms regulator find there's a SMP, and the competition regulator doesn't find it, maybe more likely, because generally telecoms regulator is more strict. The regulations on telecoms market is more. In all the, like for example, all the ex-ante regulations, all the regulating idea is more strict compared to competition regulator. So it might be more possible for a telecoms regulator to find a company has a SMP status, but competition regulator doesn't find it, compared to the other way around. Okay. Okay, so these are the tasks that the framework directive gives or gave, because the framework directive is not there anymore. These are the tasks given by the framework directive to the national regulators. The first is to define the market. Okay, you may ask, why do we have to define the market first? Why do we have to define the market? Because the idea is to find whether there's a SMP in the market. But if there are different markets, for example, if there are different product markets, this is for example, the cell phone market, and this is for the for one of the infrastructure facilities market, and they are basically different markets. So the SMP here does not necessarily have SMP here. Okay, so to correctly identify the SMP, we have to correctly define the market first, to draw a scope of the market, so that we can find in that specific market whether there's a SMP in that market. Okay. Okay, so the legal base for that, the so-called SMP methodology that was in the previous slide, is stipulated in the Article 7 in the Framework Directive. Okay, the Article 7 of Framework Directive authorizes national regulators to analyze telecoms market in their respective state. Okay, so each regulator should analyze the markets. Okay, but notice this plural, because there might be multiple markets. Okay, the regulators should analyze the telecoms market in their respective states in their own country, and to propose regulatory measures if and where needed. Okay, that means if the regulators find SMPs, they should apply, propose, and apply. I mean, because the commission wants the telecoms regulation in the European Union to be the same, to be in a, well, to say it's the same is not too very precise, but to be very harmonized and coherent. So maybe not the same in each country, but have the same concept. So these regulatory measures, I mean, if the regulator find there's an SMP and he propose some regulatory measures, before the regulators apply these regulatory measures, he has to send the proposal of the application of these regulatory measures to the Commission first. And the Commission will review these measures and then to decide whether you can have a go or reject it. Okay. So the national regulator should define the market and find the SMP and then decide whether or not it should apply some regulatory measures. But before it applies those measures, it has to send up the proposals to the Commission. Okay, so these are the stipulations in Article 7 of Framework Directive. And there, of course, there are some other articles regarding the SMP methodologies. There are a lot, but I just made them a few here. Article 14 stipulates undertaking with SMP. Undertakings means company. Okay, in the company law in the European Union, right? They usually call it undertaking instead of companies or corporations. And of course, in telecoms sector regard, undertakings here means telcos. Okay. And Article 15 of the Framework Directive stipulates the procedures of market definition, which we may have a look later in the class. And according to the first subsection of Article 15, the Commission should publish a recommendation to identify markets with characteristics justify the imposition of regulatory obligations. So what does this mean? So we break up this. The first thing is you still remember what a recommendation is, right? Last week we talked about the secondary legislation in the European Union, and recommendation is one of them. But it does not have the binding power. It's just a recommendation made by the Commission. So what does this recommendation mean? This recommendation is kind of a market review done by the Commission. Because the directive, the telecoms package, they are laws. They are abstract laws. But recommendation is real review of the current market. And also according to the Article 15, subsection 1, the Commission has to do the review and then publish the recommendation like constantly, like periodically, maybe every 3 years, maybe 5 years, every 5 years, something like that. The time span may be differently, but the Commission has the responsibility to periodically review and then publish this recommendation. And what does the Commission do in the recommendation? It has to identify some markets that are justify the imposition of regulatory obligations to put it simply, the Commission has to identify the markets that are subject to ex-ante regulation. Okay, so these are the stipulations in Article 15, the Framework Directive. And Article 16 is about the market analysis procedure, and we will also discuss about that later. Okay, and then we start to look at the 3 steps of the S&P methodology. The first one, the first step is to define the relevant market, also known as market definition, to try to draw lines, to draw the scope of different markets. Okay, and there were several legal instruments of market definition. The first one is the recommendation that we just talked about in Article 15, subsection 1. And after the introduction of 2002 Telecoms Framework, in 2003, the Commission published this recommendation on relevant product and service market according to Article 15, subsection 1 that we just mentioned. Okay. In this recommendation, it identified 18 markets, 18 telecoms market, telecoms product or service market. Among them, 11 are wholesale market, 7 are retail market. I think it is understandable that wholesale markets are more, the quantities of wholesale markets that are subject to ex-ante regulations are more than the quantity of a retail market. Because in the telecom sector, wholesale means a big telco supplies products or services to other I don't know how to draw it, but it supplies telecoms products and services to other, most of the case, smaller telcos. And in retail, it's the telcos supply telecoms products and services to end users, which are us. Okay. So, at retail market, big telcos and small telcos are basically in the same status. Okay, they both sell products and services to end users. So it's kind of the situation of a general competition law in that area. But in wholesale, big telcos are selling products and services to small telcos. So it's not really